I see friends that I've known from elementary school, folks that I've met as a seminarian, and someone who knows me better than I know myself is also here. My godmother. Yes. And the house, there was a house separated, her house, her home and my home. And I should say a little more because she was my kindergarten teacher, my Sunday school teacher, my junior choir in those days they say directress, right? Remember those things? Yes. And so I will go, excuse me, Lord, can you just stand so to your middle to this? That's my godmother right there. And the fact that she would come all the way here to be, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I wanted to learn how to play the organ. You know, the organ is a big instrument. And she was teaching me music at the time. And sometimes, so she gave me this little book that I started to use to learn how to play. And it had numbers in it, right? This is going in and out. So, her husband came and he said, John, I think I know what you're doing. You're playing the numbers. Not the notes. The numbers were there to help with your fingering. But having said, I will say some more about her later on, but I want to thank all of you for coming. First of all, I want to thank my clergy colleagues, and I will say a little more about you as we get to remarks and reflection, and for breaking through. Somebody came all the way from Florida. I heard about them. Yes. Was it today? Yeah, so thank you for coming. And if I keep talking, I'll go on. All right? So welcome to Trinity, welcome to this homecoming activity, and I hope you will have much, much joy and fellowship and enjoy yourself. I think there'll be some dance going on. Thank you, I'll give you back to audience.
So I know all the food looks wonderful, so I would like to introduce Reverend John Strout to the stage so that we can have the invocation and we can begin eating. Thank you.
The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Dear God, we come before you this evening with hearts filled with gratitude. We are so grateful for the many ways in which you have worked through Trinity over these 130 years to be a blessing in ministry in this neighborhood and beyond. We are so grateful for the 23 years that Father John Harmon has been a part of Trinity. People's lives that he has touched, the leadership that he has grown, the many ways in which you have used him to inspire and bring people together. We are also grateful for the ministry that you have called him to in Arkansas, how he will continue to be the amazing pastor that he is there in Arkansas. And we ask your blessing upon that ministry. This evening, we ask your blessing also upon this food. May we use it to your glory and honor, and may we be always mindful of the needs of others. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
So please, everyone, you can start eating, enjoying the food, and we are going to be blessed with a beautiful musical selection from both Kevin and Lisa Josie.
Still that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes on that distant shore. I know He leads me safely, that blessed He has prepared. But if the storm don't cease, and if the wind keeps on blowing in my life, my soul has been anchored in the Lord. Though the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day, still that hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon that distant shore. I know He leads me safely to that blessed place He has prepared. But if the storms don't cease, and just in case the wind they keep on blowing in my life, my soul has been anchored in the Lord. I realize that sometimes in this life we're gonna be torn by the waves and the currents that seem so fierce. But in the Word of God, I've got an anchor, and it keeps me steadfast, and I'll move up on despite the tide. But if the storms don't cease, and just in case the wind they keep on blowing in my life, my soul's been anchored in the Lord, in the Lord, in the Lord. My soul has been anchored in the Lord. My soul's been anchored. My soul's been anchored. My soul's been anchored. My, the billows may roll, the breakers may dash. I shall not sweat because He holds me back. So does the day, clouds up in the sky. I know it's alright, 'cause Jesus is mine and my soul. My soul, my soul, my soul. You knock me down, but Jesus picks me up. Then He stays by me when the going gets tough. And my soul Amen. When you've done all you can, seems like it's never enough. And what do you say when you're down and you're all alone, all alone? Tell me, what do you give when you've given your all? Seems like you can't make it through. Well, you just stand when there's nothing left to do. You just stand and watch the Lord see you through. Yes, after you've done all you can, you just stand. Tell me, how do you handle the guilt of your past? Tell me, how do you deal with the shame? And how can you smile while your heart has been broken and filled with pain, filled with pain? Tell me, what do you give when you've given your all and seems like you can't make it through? Shall you just stand when there's nothing left to do? You just stand watching the Lord see you through. Yes, after you've done all you can, you just stand and be sure. Be not entangled in that bondage again. You just stand and adore. God has a purpose. Yes, God has a plan.
beautiful songs and words. So please enjoy eating. Make sure your card is visible so you can show whether or not what you're getting for dinner. And please enjoy our musical interlude. We'll restart in about 20-25 minutes.
Good evening, Trinity. Just a brief announcement that we are actually live on YouTube right now. So if you're walking by to the left, or I should say stage left or stage right, but if you see the glowing red light, give it a wave and let everyone say hi to you.
Hello again. Hopefully everyone's enjoying their meal. Hopefully meeting someone new or revisiting with someone they haven't seen in quite a while. But I would like to introduce one of our special friends to the church, Reverend Canon Ronald Bird, who is part of the Missionary for African Descent Ministries and member of the presiding bishops and staff. And we know we have had the pleasure of having him here at our church before. He is a longtime friend and mentee of Father Harmon, and we're really honored by your presence tonight. Reverend Bird.
Good evening, Saints. I am delighted to be with you tonight and back home here in Trinity, where on this occasion we gather to celebrate 130 years of worship and witness to our loving, life-giving God here in Trinity. Now, I understand this is an annual event that speaks to the mission and ministry of this Christ-centered, caring community that has been remained resilient in living into the gospel of Christ to all that God has called you to. My brothers and sisters, I congratulate you. I congratulate you, and you should be proud and pleased that all that you have accomplished in 130 years in this space and place you call Trinity. Now, one of my favorite lines when I first trained here many years ago, and you're going to respond to me on this, because to this I say, God is here. Now, did I sound like John Hamlin on that? Let me try that one. God is here. Now, with that said, I want you to know that I didn't travel all the way from the great state of Michigan for going my daughter's soccer game today, which, by the way, I served as an assistant coach. And I heard Janet Hagen that she said, oh my God. But you know, after those soccer games, I get a nap in the afternoon, Keith. No, but to be sure, I did not come here on this autumn Saturday setting aside my time on the couch in the afternoon watching my Wolverines. Nope. I did not come here today because of the wonderful meal I knew we would share, or because of the amazing worship we would experience tomorrow when my awesome friend, Professor Danielle McCrae, is here. So you want to get back up here in the morning and come and see Danielle. And it will be standing room only tomorrow here at Trinity. But what I want you to know is that I stopped, dropped, and shuffled my calendar to be here with you this evening to celebrate 23 years of ministry of your beloved rector and my dear friend, coach, mentor, and brother from another mother, John T. Harmon. In fact, I believe that during Canon Harmon's time here, he has mentored and coached over 30 ministers and priests, including a few professors like Dr. McCrae. He deserves a big round of applause for that. And many of the priests that he has coached and mentored are doing great things in the church. And I'm just an example of that. So before I sit down, I just want to share a few things about John. And some of the things John has shared with me over our 20 years of friendship and collegiality. From John, I learned about collaborative leadership and how to be a collaborative leader. Because you see, John invested much of his ministry in working with parishioners and his colleagues and to expand congregational ministry across the church. An example of this was when John started the Clergy Leadership Initiative, which brought together over 300 congregations and community leaders across the church to engage in health disparity and poverty for our people in particular. John continues this work today as he serves as faculty for the Episcopal Church African Descent Ministries Black Congregational Leadership Initiative. Indeed, John will join me and my distinguished team in just a few weeks in Connecticut for our third Black Congregational Leadership Initiative, an innovative and inspiring conference where we endeavor to support and assist historically Black congregations to help them move from a space of simply surviving to a space of thriving. This is great work. Many of you will know before accepting this call to Trinity, John served as rector at St. Stephen's in Petersburg, Virginia. Also as assistant rector at Grace Church in Norfolk, Virginia, and as chaplain in Norfolk State and Virginia State Universities. Here too, my mentor quadrupled attendance, and while also retiring over $500,000 worth of debt in just a few years after his arrival. Canon Harmon is the principal visionary and co-founder of the Episcopal Service Corps, a federation of young adult service programs across the Episcopal Church. ESC assists young adults discern their inner voice, calling them to their life and work towards development, and endeavors them to listen and respond to God's call on their life and service. In 2018, ESC entered into a strategic relationship with the National Episcopal Church Faith and Foundation Department. Being inspired by his work with the Episcopal Service Corps, I would later join the staff of the Episcopal Church Foundation to continue the work he started. The evidence of a leader is not only what they do, but rather what they do that inspires others. John also initiated Trinity Education, Arts, and Ministry, an outreach ministry for children that seeks to enrich their lives and support their growth and development through the achievement of a comprehensive instruction program in both academics and arts. But I want to say, is perhaps one of John's greatest achievements was the creation and establishment of the Trinity Development Corporation, which has been designated to help empower underserved and achieve self-sufficiency through counseling, education, and improved access to adequate health care. During the height of the HIV and AIDS epidemic, the Trinity Development Corporation was a leading provider of AIDS education, prevention services, and operating 6 centers, which also raised approximately $1 million in funding. My friend is a trusted retreat leader, consultant, mentor, and coach to clergy. For nearly 3 years, John has mentored many clergy in the church while supporting African Descent Ministries, mentoring, coaching, collaborative. a collaborative with the Virginia Theological Seminary and the Liberty Foundation. By all accounts, John considers every time he gathers people together in the name of God an opportunity to hear and witness to the holy. John believes that his sense of the holy requires commitment, dedication, prayerful and humble observations, and openness to the human, to the divine. I can tell you, he brings varied experience to the church dialogue, offering fresh perspectives on his traditions and strong sensitivity to maintaining stability amidst an ever-evolving and changing world. For 10 years, your bishop-elect was the spiritual faculty for Cradle, which is a development program with the church pension group, while he also was leading and supporting the disaster relief here in the United States, the Caribbean, and Africa. How do I know John? I know John as a pastor in heart who values strong relationships with the community and the people he is called to serve. He is an experienced leader that cultivates ministries to strive to build inclusive communities with compassionate discipleship. As many of you know, John's life is shaped by prayer and public witness. All you need to do is call him on the phone. If you can get through that voicemail message where he says, it is hard of you to call. I told him something about Keith, I told him at one point he needed to take that off and have you put your voicemail in. Friends, I can certainly say more, but I believe these are just a few insights. There's a few insights and accomplishments and gifts that the faithful people in the Diocese of Arkansas discerned in Canon Harmon, when with a resounding amen, they elected and called our dear friend and yours to be the 14th bishop of the Diocese of Arkansas. Now, several months ago, I called John up and I said, Father Harmon, you might want to consider running Arkansas. That's exactly a voicemail, right? He said, really? Now, you know what he said after that, because he always said, Ron, I will pray about it. After I pray about it, I'll back to you. And so he prayed about it. We prayed together. We talked about it. We discerned it. But I knew at the time when I called Canon Harmon that all the things I just spoke to you about and much, much more matched the call in a bishop they were looking for. And when everybody else said no, he said yes. When everybody else said, oh, they're not going to let the African in the South. Hello? I'm going to say that one more time. They're not going to let the African in the South, that's known as black man, right? But you know, when God calls and we are faithful and we listen, you see the results. According to the records in the Episcopal Church archives, Bishop-elect John T. Harmon will be the first African native to serve as a diocesan bishop in the Episcopal Church. To this extraordinary achievement, the bishop-elect exemplifies all that is possible when one attends to the mission and ministry of Almighty God. Here I say to you, on this occasion of this celebration, let us always ponder anew what the Almighty can do. Because you know, I know, we know that God can do more than we can ask or imagine. Just want to tell you, John, the Most Reverend Michael Bruce Curry, Primate and Presiding Bishop of the Anglican Episcopal Church, sends his blessings to you, and he looks forward to laying his hands of heavenly grace on your head at the time of your consecration and ordination on January 6, 2024. And so to all of you, January 6, 2024, I think that's Epiphany, right, man? I think that's Epiphany, you know, waking. God knows what God is doing. On that Epiphany Day, I hope all of you will join me and all of our friends, right? Yes. Right? Say that. Yes. Anne-Marie, where we going? Anne-Marie, where we going? We're going to Arkansas. Look, Arkansas will never be the same as this. Oh, Lord Jesus. Where was Carlo at? Carlo, you know what we're doing. We're going to Arkansas for a consecration, ordination, and celebration. We're going to arrive on Friday and we're not going to leave till the next Saturday night. And you know what the young people say. You either be there or be square. We're going to celebrate my friend's consecration. John, to you, and my beloved Keegan, Joshua and Jameer, and Justin, and God's grace, the love of Christ, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit continue to be with you as you begin your new term. I love you more than you know, my brother. Give him a big round of applause.
Thank you so much, Reverend Bird. You articulated the reason why we have been so proud for the last 23 years to call Reverend Herman our own, and very proud and hopeful and eager to celebrate his arrival in Arkansas. And anytime you're ready to come on back, we'll take you. But you know you got work to do in Arkansas. So we're just so proud of you. And to celebrate that, I would like to introduce Jason Wren as a senior warden to come represent for the vestry and a presentation.
Thank you. That was a mic drop moment. I don't even know how I can, what I can say to top that. You know, I haven't been this excited since I came to church and found out that we were having jerk chicken after the 8 o'clock coffee hour. But I'm gonna do my best. So, Father Harmon has been getting a lot of accolades and congratulations from all over the country. About a week ago, I got an envelope with my name on it, with no return address. I was a little nervous because I'm still having that anthrax PTSD that's, you know, kind of kicked in. And Donna Weston said, "Do you want me to open it?" And I said, I don't know. I'll open it. But I'll just read it. And it says, "Dear Mr. Wren, greetings. Enclosed banner is heralded your fantastic Trinity Church and your rector and my dear friend John Harmon. Please find a place to hang. The blue tape will allow you to hang without paint being removed. Peace and cheers to Reverend Milton Cole Duval from Des Moines, Iowa." So, I'm pleased to be your senior warden. but I don't do this by myself. And I know we have a couple vestry members here and Junior Ward, and I know Lincoln is here, so if you could come and stand up here with me. I just want y'all to see how good they are. Feels like the Academy Awards. A petition to the vestry of Trinity Episcopal Church, Washington, D.C., requesting to name Trinity Parish Hall in honor and thanksgiving for the ministry of the Reverend Canon John T.W. Harmon, Rector and Pastor of Trinity Episcopal Church and Bishop-elect of the Diocese of Arkansas. Whereas the Reverend John T.W. Harmon, Father Harmon, is the longest-serving rector of Trinity Episcopal Church, whereas Father Harmon provided the leadership and vision that enlarged the ministry of Trinity Church through collaboration that included, but not limited to, the renovation of the unoccupied rectory for administrative offices and other buildings and facilities. Whereas he initiated the Lenten Study Program, annual revival and preaching mission, the Advent Circle and House Church, children's choir, after-school tutorial program, vacation Bible school, summer enrichment program, and summer youth employment program. Whereas Trinity Outreach Ministry expanded to include breakfast for homeless women at In Street Village, homeless knapsack care ministry, bed and breakfast to go ministry that provides breakfast and over 200 sleeping bags, and outreach community dinner for the unhoused and persons with HIV/AIDS at the annual Christmas dinner and gift party. Whereas he is the founding rector of TEAM, Trinity Education Arts Music Ministry. TEAM is an outreach to children that seeks to enrich their lives and support their growth, development, and achievement through a comprehensive program of experience and instruction in academics and the arts. Whereas he was the founder and president of the Trinity Development Corporation, whose primary purpose is to help empower the underserved in the Washington, D.C. area and to achieve self-sufficiency through counseling, job training, early childhood, early child care and education, elder care, housing, and improving access to adequate health care. Whereas Trinity's financial health was significantly improved under his leadership, and the reserve fund grew from $300,000 to over $1 million, and he raised about $150,000 annually to support Trinity's ministry. Whereas he provided the leadership to repair the church sanctuary and the damaged stained glass windows in the sanctuary, completely replaced the parish hall roof and repaired the organ. Whereas the bell tower was repaired and renovated, stabilized, and secured for the safety and protection of Trinity members in the organ pipes and the audiovisual equipment. Whereas the kitchen was completely renovated to accommodate commercial use, a handicap ramp was built to ensure wheelchairs and the funeral bear access into the church, and the HVAC was replaced. Whereas a state-of-the-art audiovisual system and Wi-Fi capabilities was installed in the sanctuary and throughout the church. Whereas the principal visionary leader and co-founder of the Episcopal Service Corporation. Whereas he revitalized, transformed, and expanded the ministry of the Trinity Volunteer Corps locally, regionally, and nationally. Whereas Father Harmon led the symposium in the DC area on HIV and AIDS, resolved that the parish hall be named as a permanent memorial in honor and thanksgiving to his faithful ministry as rector in parish, the John T.W. Harmon Hall. We're now known as Bishop Harmon Hall.
We also want to recognize Kiva for, if it weren't for Kiva and the kids supporting Father Harmon, he couldn't be as great as he is. So, thank you, Kiva. This is a small token of everyone's appreciation for all that you've given to this church, to this community, to this city. We love you. So then after they take their pictures, Father Hartman will come up and say a few remarks. Or stay up. Kiva, could you open up your gift real quick? Thank you. Oh, it's a cross. So she can wear it and always remember Trinity. Thank you for your service, Kiva. Next, Father Harmon.
Thank you so much. If you have your seat, I'm going to ask the Reverend Kenneth Anne-Marie Jeffrey, who is representing the bishop here, to say a few words before I say anything else. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I serve as your canon for Congregational Vitality, and I'm here to bring you greetings from our bishop, who is in Mexico. She is mentoring a bishop there, and so she's spending a few days with that person. But she sends her blessings and her love as you celebrate 130 years of mission and ministry in this place. And as you celebrate and say goodbye to your rector of 23 years. So know that you are in her thoughts and her prayers, and she is sorry not to have been able to be here.
Okay. Thank you. I'm grateful, much gratitude. I want to begin by saying God always begins in a place, right? So bear with me. I want to talk about places first before I talk about people. If you've ever been to a Bible study, you know we have this formula that says places, right? Place, people. What's the third one? Purpose. Number 4 is what? And promise. So I'm going to work through that. So I want to start with places first. I was baptized at Simons Episcopal Church. I think it's on page, is that 44 or 40 in your bulletin? For some reason, those folks decided they were going to build an extraordinary church building. And I think worship spaces should make you say, wow, God is here. And they did. On a Sunday morning, to have at least 25 acolytes was not unusual. And here was the catch. 15 minutes before service started, if you were not there, someone took your job. And I see some of my fellow acolytes here. Yeah. And we had a schedule called Observer Were Allowed. And these are the folks like me who would come early waiting for you to be late. Yeah. 50 minutes before it started, you were not going to have your task. So it's in March, and then my mother and a few folks decided to build a church, Ascension. Not for English speakers, but for folks who spoke Grebo, G-R-E-B-O. And so I spent the first 11 years at Ascension Episcopal Church, right about Roundtree. My mother got sick of me telling her I want to be a priest, and she said, if you really want to be a priest, then you should go return to St. Mark's, where the people were speaking English. So every now and then, if you can't understand what I say, you can understand what's happening back in Brooklyn. So the group of people would say, Baptiste against what? We give thanks to God, right? That's what we say in group. And I would tell you a little joke, but my youngest son, go for it if we have time. But St. Mark's and Ascension were important to me. And then we had this young, bright young man from EDS, Episcopal Divinity School, Samuel Watt Yankwe Reed, became our rector. So I baptized by Father Gray, who was trained by the Holy Cross monks, right? So Father Gray is pretty much about the church and spiritual formation. Preaching style is Father Reed. Father Reed was not a liturgist at all, but a solid preacher. Father Gray, he was raised by these monks who were in Liberia before the war, and so he probably formed us in that way. I never saw the man in regular clothes. Never in my life. Actually, once when I graduated from seminary, I went to visit him because he's here with his daughter. He was, retired and reclined. So, Father Reed was pretty much my mentor, going from village churches to village churches after church. So 3 out of 4 Sundays in the month, I was either at Mount Vaughn, that's an important church you remember in African American history, where Alexander Crumer started a school. Alexander Crumer, who is considered a saint in the Episcopal Church. They say he is the smartest man in the Anglican community in the 19th century. That's what they tell me. But his feast day is September 10th. He's the founder of St. Luke's Church. But he spent his time where I grew up. And a little bit of history. The first bishop of Liberia is John Payne. So until 1980, all of the bishops in Liberia were appointed by the American Church. Until 1982, the Episcopal Church in Liberia was part of the American Episcopal Church. And then it still has seat and voice at General Convention. But there's something that happened in the 19th century. Bishop Payne writes the American Church complaining about Alexander Crumer, saying that he has the audacity to believe that Africans can read Greek, Hebrew, and Latin. That's what the bishop wrote. Complaining about this man, thinking that black people can learn. And Alexander Crumer was not an instrument in Bible. He fired back. He did. At one point, his son Sidney went to the bishop and said, I want to be a priest. Alexander Crumer told Bishop Payne, not over my dead body. He said, my son is not capable or where to be. He took pictures of that. So you can understand how Cromwell has been quite an influential figure in my imagination. For those of you who are college professors, the reason why you can teach what you can teach in college is because of Alexander Cromwell. He sued the Liberian government to allow him to teach as a professor. That was the first lawsuit in academia that allowed a professor to have the right to teach what you want to teach in class, right? So you owe Alexander Cromwell that. But so it's St. Mark's, Mount Vaughan, that's St. Matthias, and then Epiphany, the very first church, building like, in fact, this very first church, Episcopal church in Northern Africa. That church was founded by black lay people. I will tell you about our church a little bit. So these were lay missionaries from New York who hailed from Barbados. James and Elizabeth Thompson, never ordained, decided to go to Liberia as missionaries. Started a church. The Episcopal Church called on and sent first missionaries there. They built St. Mark's, started St. Mark's where I was baptized. Listen to what happened. They put on a plaque and said, our first African church. Dr. Don, you were here, right? He's the historian from University of the South, so he taught there for several years. That was not true. The first African church was started by black missionaries. Even though St. Mark's has a big plaque, marble plaque, larger. But I want to say in terms of places. So I'm from Cavalas, Epiphany Cavalas, St. Mark's, Kipamas, St. Matthias, Mount Vaughan, Spring Hill, Ascension Spring Hill, and Ascension Roundtree. Let's talk a little bit about people. So that's places, right? People. My parents, I wish my mother was here, my father was here, and I'm so glad, grateful for my brothers, because I couldn't find a picture of my dad. I mean, we all ran away from a war, so I think on page 44 might be a picture of my dad and my mother. So you've seen lots of pictures of my mother. But my dad was a quiet man, but a principled fellow. He used to say, all day for thief, man, one day for master. And our parents had a word, never build your pleasure on anybody's pain. If you're going to be successful, if you're going to be happy, no one should suffer in that process. Do not build your pleasure on the pain of others. That's saying that what church should be about. So they were my first teachers. My father will hold morning prayer on Sunday morning before going to church. Can you imagine? Yeah. The prayer book. My first textbooks were the prayer books and the hymnals. When I got to college, my English professor, Dr. Ginry, said, John, your writing is too archaic. Because I was writing like how I learned how to read, right? And so here's a white man telling me you need to put some color in your writing. Yeah. But I took it seriously. Took it very, very seriously. And I tried to work on the color. I'm not too sure I'm very successful, but I work hard to put in some color in my writing. But my parents had prayers. And you know, if you grew up in Africa, you have other people, you have brothers and sisters who are not biological at all. So my house was always packed. And during prayers, there was a time for Bible verses. And if you were sitting close to my dad, you would get up and say, Jesus wept. And those on the line would start to say, oh God, you have to start thinking, where do I sit next? So Sunday morning was crazy. We all, when the bell rang for prayer, everyone opened the Bible to get a Bible verse, right? Because you wanted to have something to say. Because someone would say, Jesus wept, and that's out of the way. So that was the kind of thing we did at home. Then, in those days, you had the living room. There's a room that was reserved for guests. You know what I'm talking about. Now we have open spaces. Only adults and your parents' friends would sit there. Out of 11, I had 4 Bible studies going on in the community. I had the kids coming to church, and my mother and father allowed me to play church in the sacred space at home. Yes. Turn the chair around. The organist, can you imagine? I was the organist, the crucifixion, the priest. Yeah. And half the neighborhood kids were there. But this was part of my formation. My mother made my first vestment when I went to be a priest. Now, my godmother gave me my baptismal gown. Boys wore gowns for baptism. The Arab, right? British Mexican Arab. We have the church professor here. So we wore gowns for baptism. I was baptized in 1965 Easter. Were confirmed December 4th, 1976. I have some of my confirmation class here. And in those days, you could fail confirmation class. Yes. Yeah, you could fail confirmation class. Yes. You could fail by not attending. You could fail by not passing the exam. And on the eve of your confirmation, every single person had an audience with the bishop. Yes, one-on-one. The bishop asked you a question. This is the day before you got confirmed. Here's my confirmation examination. So my name gets to be called. I walk into the rector's office, and there's Bishop Barnes, who is Archbishop. And instead of asking me for my confirmation, he said, "So you want to be a priest?" I'm preparing for the Lord's Prayer, the 10 Commandments, the Apostles' Creed, Nicene Creed. He says, "So you want to be a priest?" He threw me off. He threw me off. And I found great support with Bishop Brown. And before I get to Bishop Brown, I want to thank my brother. Henry was just saying a little bit. This is my older brother. He's not the oldest. And those of you who are foreigners, you know how it is when you get. My sister is here. Florence is there as well. Florence is there. So here's what happened. The war is raging in Liberia. My sister says to me, "You need to leave." And I wanted to go to a place called Cottington. This is the Episcopal College in Liberia. And you heard the house said, she said, "You gotta leave." And so my sister arranged for me to leave, got passport and everything. And my brothers who were here arranged one paid my fare, and I lived with Henry, right? So Hillary is the oldest. The oldest of the brothers who should have been in his 80s now is deceased. May so rest in peace. He's the oldest of all of us, Dara. And so I came to live with my brother. And there came a time where in 1984, if you follow soccer, my daughter's a soccer player, I'll talk about that later on. There's a young man called Thaddeus Ramos. He was the best soccer player, high school soccer player in America. The only high school soccer player that played the Olympic team. I'm playing soccer. I didn't like soccer very much. I was a basketball player. So I got here and they forced me to play soccer. Michelle, can you imagine?
I can't imagine.
Can't imagine. So Dillsbury is playing St. Benedict's, and these scouts come to see this young man. Google his name. God made it possible. I scored 3 goals against St. Benedict's, and we beat them. Here's the distraction to your vocation. Now, New York Cosmos is looking for soccer players, right? Go professional. I went to my older brother, because I'm getting confused now. All these people telling you things, you can play soccer. So I went to my brother and asked him, "What should I do?" He said, "Look, what do you want to do with your life?" This is older brother, Hillary. So I want to be a priest. He said, "Go do that. Go do that." So I turned down a scholarship at St. Peter's University in Jersey City, because the priest who was president refused to give me an academic scholarship. In those days, if you got hurt, guess what? Lost your scholarship. And at the same time, then you know John Spong, right? John Spong was Bishop of Newark. John Spong comes to St. Andrews and Holy Communion. Before he does, John Burgess comes to St. Andrews. And I'm singing the choir at St. Andrews with George Markey. George Markey is considered, he was then the American judge at the World Organ Competition. So you want to be an organist at the world level? George Markey was the American representative. In fact, there's a method of playing the organ called the Markey method. So this is where I get to hear people from New York Metropolitan Opera who were singing the choir with me. People like Dallas. You know, my godbrother teases me, he said my ear has been changed, right? Here. George Markey actually helped me gain confidence in terms of what God can do in your life through music. At a choir rehearsal, the tenor session is empty, and I'm the only tenor there. And one of the baritones decided to come and help me, and George Markey said, "You're not going to do that. He needs to hold his own." And I remember that. So John Burgess comes to visit, and I go to John Burgess. I said, "Bishop Burgess, I want to be a priest." And he said, "You know, I'm not a bishop. John Burgess is the first black diocesan bishop in the United States." So he said, "You need to talk to your bishop, which is John Spong." So Spong comes the next year, and I said to Bishop Spong, "I want to be a priest." And Spong asked me a few questions. He said, "We cannot talk to you. You don't have a college degree." So he goes back, and I write Bishop Spong a letter. I'm in high school now. I said, "Dear Bishop Spong, I'm requesting a meeting with my chief pastor." What do I do for writing a bishop? But that's what I said. "I'm requesting a meeting with my chief pastor." To his credit, he granted me an audience. And in that meeting, he bring Jim Sell, Canada Ordinary, and he calls the president of St. Paul's College while I'm in the office. He asked me, "Do you mind going to St. Paul's?" I said, "No." He calls Dallas Simmons, and he said, "I have a young man, a scholar athlete, that I'm trying to send to you. I got admitted to college before I applied." Only God can do that. Only God can do that. And Bishop Strong supported me while I was in college. And I get to St. Paul's and I meet Charles Bachet, who takes over from I have his child's right now in my office. The young man who wrote you that letter was the executive of Bishop Bachet estate, and I inherited Bishop Bachet White Chancellor from Jerusalem. So while I'm in college now, I'm about to graduate from college, and it's time to enter the ordination process. So two bishops meet in Jerusalem. Charles Bachet and George Brown are both members at St. George's College in Jerusalem, and they decided what was going to happen to my life. So Charles Bachet returns, and he says that you're going to take 2 Canonicals, you're going to be registered in Liberia. That's unusual, right? You have been one process. They don't do Canonicals anymore, do they? No. Well, GOEs are the ordination examination, but Canonical is when you sit about 12 or 24 people sit in the room, you have Canonicals, and they just pepper you with questions. I did my Liberia Canonicals over the telephone, and Ed Guy, another name, who was the first black executive A15 with Browning. Yes, yeah. He was there as chaplain then, and he put me on the phone and they prepped me with questions. I got to Norfolk Tower Hall, received the same question, and I said, only God can get me here. But before Ed Guy gets to St. Paul's College, there's Nathan Baxter. So Nathan Baxter is there as chaplain when I arrive. And on my first Sunday, I go to Nathan Baxter and I say, I want to be a priest. That's the only line I have. I want to be a priest. So Nathan takes me under his wings. And coincidentally, we have the same birthday, not the year. And so I began to work with him. And there was a task force in the Episcopal Church to recruit young people for ministry. Went to St. Augustine College and different places. But Nathan left St. Paul's and Ed Guyver came. And right then, Father Easley, in between, became my mentor. Father Easley, I want to say this right because his name isn't mentioned. He predicted in his dissertation at General Seminary that the rise of Pentecostalism in America. He wrote about that. Easley was a gentle giant. He gave an examination and walked out of the class, trusting that all of us be honest about the exam. So I met a lot of wonderful people at St. Paul's, Sarah White-Harris, Dallas, of course, and my professors. And then I want to skip a little bit now to Lancaster Seminary. So, Virginia Seminary, I was accepted at Yale, and I wanted to do a PhD in theology. There's crazy people in my head. So 2 weeks before going to Yale, Bishop Asher calls me and said, the church needs black priests. You shouldn't do that. Justin doesn't like when I tell this story. So I told Bishop Asher, I'm on a student visa. You know what that is, right? I have to be in school. So he calls Nathan Baxter at Lancaster Seminary, and he said, look, can you get John to seminary for a year? Nathan says, yes. I pack my bags, and I go to Lancaster for a year. And I meet a lot of nice people like John Payne at Erasmus College, shaped my life, and thinking, Dr. Payne will come to class, he says, you can't speak in this class unless you read the assignment. And that changed the way I thought about school, really. Don't ask questions unless you read the assignment. So I leave Lancaster, come to Virginia Seminary, and I meet some very, very fine people at VTS. You know. And of course, I get to go to St. Luke's. This is where my wife comes into play. So, yes. So I'm at St. Luke's Church, and that's Michelle Higgins' parish. The finest choir in the country. William Hines, choir director. So they were just glorious. It just blew my mind. Sheldon Bowen was rector, then John Jarrett, Abion Ferrer was there on staff. And on Sunday morning, having 500 people in church was nothing. So Kiva was teaching the older kids in Sunday school, and I had the little babies in Sunday school. So I am at the seminary, and an African proverb comes to mind. The one you are to be with is always before you. The one you are to be with is always before you. So I'm at dinner now with Samuel Bay, who is not Bishop of Nigeria, Johnson Marenga. I said, excuse me, I need to leave. So I go to this before cell phone, go to my room and make a telephone call Kiva. I said, can I talk to you on Sunday? So on Sunday morning, I see Kiva and I say, will you marry me? And of course she laughed. And then the following Sunday I said to her mother, I asked your daughter to marry me, and her mother giggled. But anyway, that's how we got together, and we moved on since. And of course, I think I'm going on too long, right? Okay. So let me move it along. So anyway, Kiva comes. Joshua, why don't you stand? He follows. And Julia, where's Julia? Our daughter. And then Justin comes along. So, let me, I know you want to dance, and I want to dance as well, but I want to thank you for coming. And I want to say, I can only be here because of God and because of all of you. And I want to take a moment of silence to just ask each of us to mention those who are important to us, who have shaped our lives, and who have helped us be. Clyde, Henry, George, Melvin, and Bruce. You may add your own Thanksgiving. Amen. Let me speak a little bit about Arkansas. And so there were some folks who are here who inspire. Nancy, the first one to address the Anglican Community Atlanta, right? First woman in the world to address all bishops. So thank you for coming. Michelle Higgins, who has the best business sense I know, who asked me, John Hummer, you think I work for you, right? Generous. And I would say this. People getting evicted, I call Michelle Higgins, I said, Michelle, can you do it? She makes room. Ron, Ron was here with Donier. We'll be together again. Thank you. I want to go. And Sean, thank you for being a partner here. Eleanor and Bob, I know you wave your hands. They were Lutheran, but Eleanor is the oldest person here. She knows what I'm talking about. She has a little girl. And who else am I missing? My niece is behind me, who is taller than I am. Yes. And I'm going to say Caroline, who came from Kenya, and real brilliant man. She is now the rector, priest in charge at St. Margaret. Please forgive me if I want to see my missing. But I will tell you, so many people shaped my life here. Oh, Randy Callahan, why don't you stand? Why are you hiding back there? This man is responsible for the new Bishop of Maryland. He was the chair of the search committee that brought the new Bishop of Maryland. Yes. And Randy's good to work with him. Sharp, sharp, sharp fellow. Yes. And you stand behind me. The new, not new, yet you old. Ricardo Shepherd at the Tillman. And you have some members here who are related to you. But I'm grateful. I could go on and on. I remember one of the things that I want to remember now is that with God, all things are possible. So here's Arkansas. I never believed you believed more than I believed that Arkansas was possible. And Ron and I had a lot of conversation. And I would tell you that when the Episcopal Church wanted to deal with issues of injustice, racism, compassion, and healing, we went to Arkansas over 100 years ago with Thomas Edward Denby. And then grandfather gave a plot in Arkansas for a church. Am I right about that? But here's the catch. On the last meet and greet, I turned the corner to go to Denby's picture, and I simply said thank you to him. Denby, the Episcopal Church created something really strange called suffrage of bishop. But when they established that, he had no power, no authority. He was a priest who could just confirm. Had a hard time in Arkansas. Terrible time. So I think they planted a seed, and I hope what we will do together is to nurture that seed of hope, of healing, compassion, justice, so that something can grow out. Something can grow out. I have much more to say, but I will save it for Sunday. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. May God be glorified. May Jesus Christ be praised. God is here.
We are God's people.
And many thanks to Kiva. Thank you so much for being a part of this ministry. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone. We are going to have a transition to the Dancing and Wonderful after we hear the Josies with our final musical selection. This is wonderful. And then thank everyone for coming. We truly appreciate it. And just like I said, after the selection, stay, talk, eat, drink, and dance.
Folks, I'm so sorry. I'm going to ask Reverend Alethea to stand. She has been our deacon. Would you stand, please? Did I overlook another clergy forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. Thank you.
Steve, can you come to the front, please, with the board?
Yeah, but he's not mine. Like I just think I was mine. He's his one.
I knew I was going to get myself in trouble. My son's school teacher and kindergarten teacher, daughter who is a priest, is also here. Welcome. Thank you. She looks very much like a mother, you know.
Yeah. Where's the MC?
Again, everyone, thank you. Just be aware there are oregano plants that have been donated to the church for donation that goes to help. The table will be on the back side if you're interested. And I just want to thank you for the wonderful service, Evelyn,
Good to see you again. It's always good to see you. Thank you so much. I'm going to come back and see you.
and thank you to our DJ and everyone who participated. And now I'm looking forward to all those who will join us up front for our first line dance.
Line dance.